a small, incredibly tenacious creature. Will confront the king of the savannah head-on. Not to win. But to prove that fear isn't an instinct for everyone. The fearless one, when the honey badger keeps the lion away. On this harsh grassland, fear is the law. It keeps the gazelles running, the leopards climbing high, and all creatures bowing before their rulers. But there's one who never reads that code. Botulism gives no one a chance to breathe a sigh of relief. When rivers are nothing but cracked mudslides, and prey is as rare as a drop of water in the desert, every chance encounter can turn into a death sentence. The male lion lies beneath the low trees, its eyes half open with arrogance. It is the keeper of order, a creature that needs no proof of its strength to anyone. Its mere presence commanded everyone to make way, but that false peace was about to be shattered. Facing the lion lord was a honey badger, frantically rummaging under an old tree. It wasn't large, it wasn't agile, and it was utterly alone. Yet, the honey badger possessed a weapon that even the most skilled assassins feared. A frenzied recklessness. Its thick, armor-like skin, scarred by war, and an unyielding fighting spirit made it the most formidable creature on the savannah. Under the acacia tree, a wild beehive lay destroyed, honey spilling onto the ground. The honey badger was licking up the last drops, completely oblivious to the presence of its ruler watching intently from behind. In the lion's world, this wasn't just a fight for food. It was a blatant insult to the monarchy. The lion lord's gaze locked onto its target. It didn't want the honey. It wanted to punish the one who dared to disrespect its authority. The lion suddenly sprang to its feet. Its muscles tensed, sand flying up under its powerful strides. The chase ensued. Instead of fleeing like other animals, the honey badger turned around. It didn't retreat, nor did it seek refuge. It stood tall, growling with harsh snorts as if it were the hunter. The honey badger's piercing shriek ripped through the air just before their bodies collided. All biological rules indicated this game was about to end, with a small corpse lying at the king's feet. But reality is often more brutal than theory. If the lion decided to strike, the honey badger would die, but it wouldn't die alone without inflicting fatal wounds on its opponent. If the lion faltered, the entire order of the savannah would collapse. This game, in reality, hadn't truly begun yet. When the lion's jaws closed, it seemed the little one's fate was sealed. But at that very moment, the natural world witnessed one of the planet's most bizarre defense mechanisms. The honey badger not only has thick skin, but that skin isn't attached to the underlying muscles. It's like a loose suit of armor, allowing the honey badger to twist its entire body within its own skin. Even when a lion has its jaws firmly gripping its neck, it can miraculously twist its body to deliver a retaliatory bite aimed directly at the eyes or nose of its enemy. The lion quickly realized it wasn't facing ordinary prey, but a mass of muscle brimming with rage. The honey badger knows no retreat. Its nervous system seems to lack receptors that trigger fear. While other species would go into shock when faced with apex predators, the honey badger triggers a state of frenzy. It continuously emits piercing, sharp hisses, creating immense psychological pressure. The longer the fight lasts, the more confused the lion becomes. The lion attacks by aiming for a quick kill with a bite to the throat, but the skin around the honey badger's neck is so thick that the lion's fangs struggle to penetrate and reach the trachea. Furthermore, the honey badger possesses extraordinary venom resistance and pain tolerance. Its bloodstream contains special proteins capable of neutralizing even the most potent toxins, a trait evolved from its frequent hunting of cobras. This biological resilience allows it to withstand brutal attacks and still get back up, continuing its assault like an unkillable phantom. The drama reaches its climax when the honey badger decides to switch from defense to full-scale attack. It utilizes its low center of gravity and long claws, Originally used for digging through hard rock, now transformed into sharp daggers. Each lion's blow only enrages the honey badger further. It doesn't aim for the thick muscles, but attacks directly at the most sensitive areas of the savannah king. The astonished gazes of the surrounding lionesses reveal a rift in the power structure. They saw their king, who could bring down a buffalo in an instant, now retreating before a creature weighing less than 15 kilograms. The honey badger didn't win by strength. It won by extreme tenacity. It turned the lion's hunt into a grueling ordeal, the price for a small meal being infected wounds and a shattered reputation. Under the scorching Botswana sun, this confrontation was no longer about hunting, but a battle of wits between absolute power and boundless recklessness. And on this savannah, sometimes the victor isn't the strongest, but the one who makes the opponent feel that continuing the fight was the worst mistake of their life. The male lion stared at its tiny enemy one last time, then silently turned its back, leading the females away towards the distant bushes. A silent retreat, a quiet acknowledgement that absolute power had bowed to extreme defiance. Botulism's order remains, but its boundaries have been redrawn by a creature even the Lord wouldn't dare cross a second time. The honey badger, its fur stained with dust and blood, stands firm on its short legs, head held high in defiance. It not only defended its life, but also its honor as a fearless lion. If you were a lion, would you accept injury for a small meal like the honey badgers? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. As the sun begins to set over the Botswana grasslands, a pungent scent permeates the air. It's the unmistakable signal of a feast just over. A male honey badger is busy enjoying its spoils, a small rock python just outside its den. But on this savannah, solitude always comes with risk. From afar, hoarse, broken laughter echoed. A pack of 3 spotted hyenas had sniffed out blood. Hyenas weren't just opportunistic scavengers, they were psychological strategists. With a bite force of up to 1,100 pounds per square inches, enough to crush the thigh bone of a buffalo. Hyenas rarely feared any opponent except lions. They formed a triangle, slowly closing the circle around the small honey badger. The alpha hyena lunged, trying to use its bone-crushing jaws to quickly finish off its prey. But the honey badger was no ordinary victim. For the hyenas, continuing to attack a creature that was both foul-smelling, tenacious, and capable of inflicting injury in return began to become an extremely risky undertaking. After 10 minutes of tense standoff, the hyena pack began to spread out. They stood at a distance, barking in frustration. The honey badger, its fur stained with mud and blood, remained steadfast at the entrance to the den. It did not retreat, but advanced a step, growling defiantly. Finally, the hyenas silently withdrew into the darkness, leaving the battlefield to the most tenacious of the savannah. The battle once again affirmed the cruel truth of nature. The strongest does not always win, but the fearless one is the master of the game. As the melee beneath the tree unfolded, a pair of gleaming golden eyes watched every movement from a nearby ancient acacia branch. It was Zuri, a mature female leopard. With perfect camouflage, her spotted fur blended seamlessly into the dry foliage, becoming an invisible shadow silently analyzing each dramatic moment. Leopards are masters of tactics and risk calculation. Zuri never engaged in an unnecessary fight, especially against an aggressive and unpredictable creature like the honey badger. She witnessed how the honey badger, even surrounded by 3 hyenas, recklessly charged, its body twisting miraculously within its loose skin, delivering bites aimed at the eyes and noses of its enemies. Zuri also saw the failure of the hyena's bone-crushing jaws against the honey badger's rubbery, resilient armor. To Zuri, the honey badger was not an attractive prey. Although a source of protein, taking it down required too much energy and carried the risk of serious injury, something a lone leopard could not afford. A leg injury or a bite to the eye could mean a slow death from starvation or the inability to hunt. When the hyena pack finally accepted defeat and retreated into the darkness, the honey badger stood there, head held high in arrogance. Zuri remained perched on the branch, waiting. It knew that the honey badger would never leave immediately after a victory. It would consolidate its territory and finish its meal. Only when the honey badger had returned to its den did Zuri stir slightly. After spending a few more minutes sniffing the wind direction and ensuring there were no other threats, Zuri began its own hunt. Zuri's sense of smell began to work. It sniffed out the scent of a herd of impala antelope resting near a small watering hole. However, it didn't charge straight into the middle of the herd. The leopard's tactic was patience and the ability to approach its target undetected. Zuri knew that a long-range chase would exhaust it without yielding results, as its speed was only sustainable over short distances. The prey was a young male, separating from the herd to graze. Zuri lowered itself, its muscles taut, its golden eyes locked onto its target. Its breathing was shallow and slow. Its entire body becoming a ready-to-fire arrow. And then, with an explosive leap, Zuri lunged forward. Its speed peaked in just seconds, closing any remaining distance. The impala startled, panicked, and tried to flee, but it was too late. Zuri's claws sank into its back, and instantly, a fatal bite was delivered. The leopard's jaws locked onto the impala's trachea, ending the hunt in an instant. Zuri didn't devour its prey on the spot. Using its incredible strength, it dragged the impala's carcass high up, hiding it in a large branch. This was an instinctive behavior to protect its hunted prey from opportunistic thieves like hyenas or lions. On the vast savannah, a leopard never has a peaceful meal. With a full stomach and its prey safely hidden high up, Zuri curled up on the branch. Moonlight shone on its spotted fur, and in just a few hours, it would continue its solitary journey. Thank you for joining us on this journey across the line between life and death. If you enjoyed these dramatic stories about the natural world, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to continue discovering the hidden secrets of the green savanna. And now, let the silence of the prairie continue to tell stories that only the wind can understand. The pack of hyenas were scattered to drink water next to a swamp. Suddenly, the cub's cry echoed, sharp and desperate. The moment of life and death was only a blink of an eye apart. The moment a hyena saves a cub from a predator's jaws. The morning on the Serengeti grassland opened with a layer of white sunlight pouring down on the golden sea of grass stretching to the horizon. The air was still slightly humid, carrying the scent of warm soil and the scent of grass that had just escaped the night mist. In the middle of the endless sea of grass, a shallow pool of water sparkled like a mirror covered with metallic light. There, a pack of spotted hyenas were gathering, but not to hunt or rest. Today, they were playing in the water. The kicks of their legs created white foam. The adults lay half-bodied in the pool, their eyes half closed, enjoying the rare coolness of the morning. In stark contrast to the ferocious image on the battlefield, this moment reveals a very different side of the hyena, curious, playful, and extremely fond of water. And there is a reason for that. Hyenas are nocturnal and early morning animals, but when the sun is high, their body temperature increases rapidly. Their thick fur and lean muscles make them more susceptible to overheating than other carnivores. The puddle not only helps cool their bodies, but also helps them avoid parasites like ticks and fleas that hate the wet. For hyenas, bathing in water is not a hobby, but a survival strategy. But just a few dozen meters away, under a low mound, the cub den is hidden among the tough thorn bushes. This is where the youngest individuals, only a few weeks old, are kept safe from predators. These cubs cannot follow their mothers to the puddle. They only know how to stick their shiny black heads out of the mouth of the cave, giggle as if calling for their mother, then retreat back into the damp darkness. This arrangement is a very special strategy of the hyena species. The adult females take turns guarding the den, while the rest go out to forage and cool off. The matriarchal group makes the hyenas extremely close-knit, especially when it comes to raising their young. But today, there is a small gap in that protective circle. A female guarding the den leaves for a few minutes to follow the group closer to the water. And that is the moment the others have been waiting for. From behind the low thorn bushes, a honey badger appears. A short, stocky body, black-gray fur and eyes that shine like two small points of fire. It moves slowly, but with the kind of confidence that only a species can face off against anything from cobras, leopards, to a pack of adult hyenas. The honey badger stops at the mouth of the den. It takes a deep, long breath, typical of a species with a very sensitive sense of smell. the smell of colostrum, the weak smell of body odor. The smell of creatures that have not yet known how to run away. It was the perfect call. In a flash, the honey badger rushed forward, claws digging into the ground to break, then poked its head into the cave. The cub's shrill cry rang out, shrill and desperate. And in the puddle ahead, the mother hyena jumped. Just a few seconds later, she rushed to the mouth of the cave. The honey badger immediately abandoned the cub, turned around. Not afraid. Not taking a step back. It raised its entire back, bared its teeth, and let out a short, dry roar. Unlike many other predators, the honey badger did not run. Not afraid. It even took half a step forward. A breathtaking moment as the two predators stared straight at each other, less than a meter apart. The sunlight slanted through the dust, creating a thin strip of light that divided the two creatures who were ready to give up everything. But several adult hyenas had already run up. They formed a semicircle, closing in, forcing the honey badger into a corner. The honey badger understood the tide had turned. It hissed, backing away slowly, without turning. Cautious. Stubborn to the end. And then, the clash broke out. Finally, the honey badger knew that he could not deal with the stubborn crowd. He retreated step by step, then ran into the distant trees, like a warrior retreating from a battle because he felt disadvantaged, not because he had lost. The mother hyena limped back to the den. The cub was breathing weakly, but still alive. It nestled into her belly, emitting a thin moan that was both a cry for help and a thank you at the same time. The mother hyena licked the wound of the cub, her eyes narrowed in pain but still gentle. The morning light shone on the mother and her cub, as if freezing the most beautiful moment of survival in the fierceness of the savannah. From behind the thorn bushes where it all began, the world in the honey badger's eyes was not the peaceful place of a Serengeti morning. In its eyes, the savannah is a chessboard where anything weaker can become a meal, and anything stronger is an opponent that must be avoided or confronted at the right time. Honey badgers do not hunt because they like to. They hunt because they need to. This species consumes energy extremely quickly, even faster than leopards. Their small but muscular bodies make them always have to seek nutritious food to maintain their strength. A hyena cub, no matter how small, carries enough protein to help it survive a few difficult days. And one more thing, honey badgers are not afraid of anyone. Not because they do not understand danger, but because their instincts tell them that the more they show fear, the faster they die. In the distance, the honey badger stops in the middle of the brown ground, licking the slight wound on its shoulder. It sniffs, sniffing the air again. A meal is lost, but opportunities never end on the savannah. And in its mind, a new plan is forming. The ground underfoot was still hot from the tug of war. The honey badger walked slowly towards the high mound. Each step did not feel like a failure, just a change of direction to the next target. For this species, missing a meal was not important. But missing energy meant death. He took a deep breath. The wind brought many smells, the smell of antelope dung, the smell of burnt grass, and then a sweet, strong, stimulating smell. The smell of honey. The honey badger stopped completely. He turned his head to the left, his ears standing straight like two small blades. In the canopy of the wide acacia tree in front, a swarm of bees was flying in small swirls, a sign of a wild beehive. For most predators, bees were a nuisance. But for the honey badger, it was an invitation. The honey badger had extremely thick and loose skin, making it difficult for bees to sting him. In addition, his nose was unusually sensitive to sweet smells, a rarity among carnivores. And most importantly, honey provides quick energy, rich in sugar, helping this species recover after fierce battles. Therefore, even if the bees sting hundreds of times, the honey badger still considers the hive a treasure. No need to crawl low. No need to stalk. The honey badger goes straight to the foot of the acacia tree, lifts its head to look up at the golden hive clinging to the large branch. The bees begin to dive down in dense waves. It closes its eyes for a second as if to gain momentum, then climbs the tree, something few people think a heavy and short body like it can do. When it gets close to the hive, the bees cover it like an angry cloud. Stings hit its ears, its nose, its legs where its skin is thinnest. But the honey badger just shakes its head a few times, exhales strongly, and continues climbing. It doesn't care. The honey badger digs its claws into the edge of the hive, pulling a large piece. The golden honey spills out under the sunlight, thick. The bees rush in to attack like a tornado. It let out a low growl, not in pain, but in excitement. It buried its face in, licking the honey continuously, oblivious to the chaos around it. Honey stuck to its whiskers, to its head, to its chest. It ate greedily, as if there was no tomorrow. The honey badger was still buried in the broken honeycomb, its whole body covered in yellow honey. The buzzing of bees surrounded it. The sunlight shining on the shiny honey made it look like a creature emerging from the furnace of the sun. But while it was enjoying its meal despite the pain, the world below the tree trunk was no longer safe. Two black and yellow spots slid through the grass like the movement of a living shadow. A female leopard, slender, muscular, and with sharp yellow eyes, was advancing slowly, lightly, and deliberately. It didn't come for the honey, but for the noise. And a small prey covered in honey, distracted, surrounded by bees, was too good an opportunity. On the steppe, it was common for a leopard to chase another. But today, the flow was reversed. The honey badger charged with incredible speed compared to its short, heavy body. It roared hoarsely like a stone grinding against a stone. The leopard was surprised, not out of fear, but out of insult. A small, rough, honey-stained creature dared to chase it. The honey badger ran like a ball of black fire, rough but durable. The leopard lashed straight at the honey badger's face. The honey badger's ears drooped, a rare sign that it had been really hurt. It turned around, each step heavy. The footprints it left on the ground were no longer even. Each step was followed by a slight limp, as if each bundle of muscles were straining to maintain balance. The leopard watched for a few seconds, then turned away, walking towards the shade under the acacia tree. Its anger gradually subsided, leaving only a heavy breathing sound. Unlike the ferocity and chaos at the beehive, the cave area was colored with anxiety and protective efforts. The morning sunlight poured down the cave mouth, making the dust in the air shine like small gold particles. In that light, the mother hyena lowered her head, using her nose to lightly touch the back of her cub, a simple gesture, but containing the instinct of survival. The cub breathed weakly, but more evenly than before. Each of its trembling breaths made the mother hyena's chest rise and fall, as if the two bodies shared the same rhythm of fear and hope. In nature, people often think of hyenas as cold and brutal. But what few people know is that female hyenas are one of the most devoted mothers on the steppe. They raise their cubs for more than a year. Teaching them each life skill, willing to confront a much stronger opponent just to protect a small cry. Female hyenas are the pillars of the pack. They have very high protective hormones, the tightest social bonds among African carnivores, almost absolute nurturing instincts, and especially, they are the rare species where the female is stronger than the male. Therefore, when a cub is threatened, the mother hyena does not simply react. It fights as if protecting the future of the pack. In its eyes, the cub is not just a child. It is the inherited bloodline, the continuation of life, the thing that makes it exist. In the gentle wind, The distant sounds from the bees destroyed by the honey badger still echo. But in this place, the world seems small, with only two creatures, a mother and a child. The conflict of survival, blood, fighting out there. Suddenly become a faint background behind the rare gentleness of the savannah. In the wild, where life is always on the fragile line between instinct and danger, moments of survival leave a deeper mark than any battle. Although nature is harsh and full of challenges, there are always warm and resilient moments that help life cling to many changes. In the constant breath of the grassland, each creature fights in its own way to protect the most important thing. And it is these moments that create the true, strong, and emotional beauty of nature. But the danger on the grassland has not stopped. Because in the distance, a deep roar is gradually approaching. Don't miss the next episode. The lonely spotted hyena mother fights the lion pack, where maternal instinct confronts the dominant power. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss this breathtaking survival moment.